Hey guys, this is Jeremy from 70 Productions. I want to talk to you guys about using images for your blog. Now this is something that I've been exploring for the past 6 months about how to use images well, and it's something that I think is super important, but most bloggers are not necessarily giving the credence that it deserves. And it doesn't matter if you've been blogging for the last 10 years or the last 2 months. Maybe it's something that you're even considering exploring but haven't invested in. If you're in any way interested or have invested in blogging, you need to be considering how you're going to use images within this process. The first step is actually using images. I see so many different times that people are writing blog articles that are text-based and they have no images in the story. The purpose of an image is not just to have a visual representation, so you use these cheap, wonky graphics that are some kind of clip art that are almost one step up from what Word provides for you, but they're still so terrible. If you're going to be telling a story, have a narrative in it, use a photograph that's not some cheesy clip art, but that actually adds value to your blog post. If you're going to use an image, don't use something crappy that is going to take away from the entire experience, but use something that will increase the narrative. The second tip for you guys is to use something that is actually worth sharing. And so there's this concept out there called Death to the Stock Photo. It's an entire website that is just trying to be able to make people aware that there's a lot of terrible stock photo out there. And so you might get something that has some kind of application, maybe tells some kind of story, but the reality of it is it's not very good. And so when you actually whenever you are using stock images, don't go onto Google search and just type in something and grab the first thing that you see. First of all, that's violating so many different license issues that you could actually get into some serious trouble, get your website taken down, get contacted by their lawyer. Make sure that you're using the right licensing issues. If you're buying it, it's so much easier, so much better, so much less risk to your blog as far as you're able to engage with people. I highly encourage you to be able to use different websites that are out there as far as using stock photography that are royalty free and fairly cheap as far as being able to use stock photography. It's worth it, and in the long run, if you're too cheap to be able to not pay for a stock photo, that you're going to be too cheap to pay for the fine that's going to come with stealing other people's images. The third step is if you're going to use an image, use a high definition image in the entire process. I get people are going to use images that are only 200 pixels wide, but if you're only using an image that's 200 pixels wide, are you really adding to the narrative in the process? If you're going to use an image, why not use something that's captivating, that's very large, and don't use something that's 400 pixels wide and then blow it up. That's just terrible process of using photography. Instead, start with something huge and reduce the size. WordPress, if you're a WordPress user, it actually has a built-in image compiler that allows you to use large images and compress them down to different sizes. Use that feature. It's so great, and you'll actually have some great images to go along with telling your story within your blog article. And fifthly, whenever you use images, make sure that you're using them to tell the story that can then be displayed into social media. And there's a lot of different ways that you can do this, but really the best approach is to be able to make the image the feature in the story as far as showing on social media. And so when you share your link onto Google+, Dustin Stout, one of my friends on Google+, highlights the fact that instead of making your post a link, make your post an image and then put the link into the description. Tell a little bit about what the story is saying, but make the entire post an image that you're sharing. Same thing with Twitter. If you're going to have a new post that you're going to post up there, make sure to include the image in the process. Or maybe whenever you're sharing on Facebook, instead of just copy paste the link and not add a description, upload the image into the blog post or to the social media post and then include the link in there. You'll actually get so many more viewers. You'll actually get so much more engagement. Statistically, it's shown, different studies have shown that you get more likes, more comments, and more click-throughs if you're using a large image as opposed to the social media trying to figure out which image you want and pulling it out of there. So make sure you use images well when you're marketing people with social media. So I'd love to hear what you guys have to say on the topic of being able to use images well within your actual blog process. How do you find images? What are some companies that you use? We'll have within the description some different companies that we use that are a great stock option, whether it's free but available to use if you just mention the author, or some places that you actually pay for. And what do you think about paid stock photography? Is it something that you want to actually do? Is it something that's not even feasible for you? Or is it something that you're not really concerned about the consequences because you're not really stealing, or whatever your argument is for that? So leave your comments below and we'll talk to you guys next week.